Well, I think Italy is a key country for this area, but we have to make a lot of things more in the next years in that area, because I believe that will be the crucial point for the future of Europe. Okay, Europe today is in front of great challenges, pandemic, new vision for the next years, recovery fund, etc. But I believe that region, it's a crucial region for energy, as you said very correctly, for the relation with the Middle East and for the East. That is particularly important now, because that question asks an answer about the role of NATO. And we, not only for the relation between Turkey and Greece, but for every dossier. Just to be very clear, it's impossible to accept a country as Turkey enter in Kurdistan as happened in the last 12 months. It's impossible Europe sleep while the Russians and Turkey decide what could happen in Libya. It's impossible to accept Europe consider Africa only a potential problem for migrants and not a key partner for the future. And today only China invests in Africa with a great vision and with a clear leadership. So I believe that area is very complicated, we know. A lot of European leaders considered in the first years of that century the south of Europe and the Balkanian area a potential basket of problem and not basket of opportunities. I believe that is a time to change for a lot of reasons. The first, of course, the question about energy. Egyptus, Cyprus, Turkey, Greece, relation between Russia and Europe, everything happened here. The second point for migrants, because we cannot continue with this approach today. Very important statement in Brussels from the President von der Leyen about the Dublin Agreement. You know, today there is a rule in Europe. If a migrant arrives in a country, that country is responsible for everyone. And that, of course, is a very problem for Greece or for Italy and for other guys, because if nobody arrives in Austria, nobody arrives in Belgium, they arrived from the east and from the south in Greece or in Italy. That Dublin Agreement, unfortunately signed in 2010 and then confirmed in 2013, in my view, were an unbelievable mistake. So we have a lot of challenges in front of us. I believe now it's time to change the role of NATO. Exactly 1 year ago.
Yes, what did you think of President Macron's statement
brain
about
dead.
Brain dead? Is NATO brain dead?
This was a very good scoop of Economist, because this was an interview of Economist, and I totally agree with the President Macron. And sad, this is not a good news. This, I'm sad for that. But if you have NATO, okay. NATO changed deeply. I was Prime Minister when we signed an agreement in Poland, exactly in the same place of Pact of Warsaw. You remember, the great agreement of communist world is signed in Poland. And NATO decided in 2016 as provocation to stay in the same room in Poland to give a message, NATO won. It's true. NATO won against Communist Party. But the real problem is, what is the next victory of NATO? If we continue with this approach, Macron used this expression, brain dead. I totally agree with him. And it's very sad because we have a lot of opportunities. Okay.
Can you just say more precisely what you mean by that, that NATO is brain dead? Do you think that NATO is incapable of adapting? Do you not think that NATO can find a new focus? I mean, we listened to Wes Mitchell talking about the threat from China and Russia.
Three examples very simply, very easy. First, if you permit to Mr. Erdogan to enter in Kurdistan and kill men and women, particularly women, who fought against Daesh, that means NATO is brain dead. Because you cannot permit that to a country who is part of NATO. Please, think about it. An unbelievable war against Daesh. On ground, only Kurdistan boys on the ground. And you, 2 years after, you permit to Erdogan, to Turkey, to enter inside the Kurdistan country and kill the people who saved the West against Daesh. This is foolish, this is crazy. Second point, I'm not very optimistic about it, I'm sorry, because we are in the very good dinner, and I'm sorry for that. But the next pandemic, in my view, I see your faces, the next, okay. We have to fight against that pandemic. But my view is in the next 10 years, the next global problem will be not an healthcare problem, not a pandemic, traditional pandemic, because I think the great investment in healthcare will be very important, and I'm optimistic about it. But I'm not optimistic about the next global problem will be cybersecurity. With an attack on this mobile, not my mobile, I hope, but every mobile, with the great processes of technologization, with clear Industry 4.0, ICT, cloud, it's very easy to attack the cyber world. That means or NATO will be able to change the mission and become the pillar against cyber attacks, a cyber war, or NATO is over. Today is important to use the tank, okay, but the real challenge is make the war with the bytes, with the algorithm. Third and the last point, but this is... Okay.
Can I just ask you, so if NATO is brain dead, what about the EU? So I want to ask you about this,
yeah.
and your thoughts on this. Now, we've just been through very difficult period, very rancorous negotiations over the Next Generation EU, the Recovery Resilience Fund. It took a long time. Very big divisions emerged during those discussions, and particularly between northern countries and southern countries. It looked like we were seeing a repetition of what happened after the global financial crisis. We got a deal in the end. We know that the crisis is going to hit the south much harder than the northern countries. The recovery will be asymmetric. Are we just papering over the cracks, or do you think this is a game changer? I mean, how stable is the EU in your opinion?
My view is that Europe made a miracle. Nobody believed possible 6 months ago that reaction of Europe. And for that I'm so happy, because finally Europe became the land of son, and not only the land of father founders. Okay, if we can use Greek literature, we can say Europe became the land of generation Telemachus, not Ulysses, because really the son bring the responsibility in Europe. 10 years ago, Europe made a lot of mistakes with Greece, with Italy, with everyone. Now Europe had a plan, and I'm very clear about it. We have 3 people, special people, able 3 leaders who changed history. First, Angela Merkel. I fought against her with Alexis Tsipras 5 years ago about Greece, but today I recognize she saved Europe. The second, Emmanuel Macron, And the third, nobody speaks about it, is Charles Michel, the President of the European Council, the 3M. Macron, Merkel, Michel, they changed the history of the last months and the next years. Second point, I believe today, okay, the agreement is not easy. Yeah, recovery fund is a good project, but we need a vision. That is a very good point for politicians, not easy. Because today, every politician thinks only about Instagram, only about Twitter, only about social media. We live in a time of dictatorship of social. And nobody has the courage to think about 10 years. Recovery plan is a great asset for Europe because it forced us to have a plan for the next 10 years. Not for tomorrow morning. It's not important how many likes I receive in my post. It's important what is the project for the next 10 years. And that third and last point is a great and huge opportunity for Europe. Because in the last 12, 50, 10, 20 years, Europe became the land of bureaucrats. This is fiscal compact. This is rules. This is austerity. We have to follow that. That destroys European dream. Now, with this possibility to have a project, a vision, a leadership, that means there is a space, a great possibility for politicians, for politics. I hate populism, I love politics. I consider a great opportunity to build a vision for the next 20 years, 10 years, 15 years.
Are you confident that Italy, that will happen in Italy?
This is a good question. I'm confident for DNA. The real problem, Italy is a great country with unbelievable and huge number of assets and opportunities. The first problem of Italy is the lack of stability in political system. Okay, when I became prime minister, I was the number 63 in 70 years. And you smile, I know. But that is our terrible difficulty. And I lost my job exactly because I tried to change the constitution to guarantee 5 years to the government. I remember my first speech with Obama. He told me, Libya is a problem. They change the government every year. Then he stopped himself, he looked at me. Libya? Not Matteo, nothing about Italy. Libya, okay, yes, thank you so much. But the question is the lack of stability. Because if you have a government who have to think about maintain the power, because we change the government every year, of course, every prime minister will think only about what is good for tomorrow, not for the next years. And Italy have a great opportunity now with the recovery fund, 209 billion. If we will spend well, that money will be, I think we have 10 months of difficulties because in my view, this is true also for Greece, my view, we have in front of us 6 months, 8 months, 10 months of great difficulties in terms of jobs, in terms of lack of liquidity, in terms of lack of opportunities. But if we spend very well that money, the next 10 years will be years of an unbelievable recovery, a boom, economic boom. The problem is to be able to bring together the day by day with a vision. And that is not easy, but that is a very challenging. And that is the reason for why I love the possibility of Europe to encourage a new vision for Italy, for Greece, because we are countries with unbelievable past. But the past is not enough. We cannot live only about our huge past. Our past is wonderful in Greece and in Italy, but we need the future.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Matteo, for enlivening our evening and entertaining us, and I think we'll stop there because we're keeping people from their main course, but thanks again for being with us, and we really enjoyed hearing your viewpoint on all these important questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.